Over the years, I was able to get myself some of the coolest Pokemon in Pokemon GO. Some of these are incredibly rare, and others are extremely powerful. In this video, I'm going to be showing off the coolest Pokemon in my Pokemon GO collection. Alright, what's happening y'all? Count Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon GO video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So since we're on the verge of getting hyper training in Pokemon GO and we're able to make some of our Pokemon 100% IVs, I kind of want to show off my collection before hyper training comes out to talk about some of the coolest Pokemon that I was able to get over the years. Some of these Pokemon are just incredibly rare. They're just Pokemon you just cannot obtain anymore. And there's other Pokemon that I think are some of the most powerful Pokemon in my collection and within the game in general. So yeah, I really do think that this could be a very fun video. I think it's always great to show off your Pokemon. It's kind of what brings out a lot of joy in this game. And then at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of things that I could talk about that will motivate players to use your bottle caps on the right Pokemon. But yeah, I think this is something I wanted to do for a very long time. So let's start things off with this Pokemon right here. This is my 98% Shadow Mewtwo. I obtained this at Pokemon Go Fest of 2020. It is definitely one of my most favorite Pokemon. Definitely one of the coolest in my collection. So, a 98%. Unfortunately, it doesn't have 15 attack. If we were able to do bottle caps on Shadow Pokemon, I probably would have used this just to make it 100%. And regardless of that, this is definitely one of those Pokemon that I've used quite the most. The fact that it is a Shadow Pokemon, I think that is something that I really enjoy about this. Shadow Mewtwo is definitely one of the coolest Pokemon in the game, but considering I was lucky enough to get it at 98%, yeah, this is definitely one of my most prized Pokemon in my collection. Now, the next Pokemon I want to talk about is, of course, this one right here. This is one that I've talked about quite a lot on my YouTube channel. This is my Shundo Rayquaza, more specifically, Mega Rayquaza. It's probably my most favorite Mega Evolution in the game and in the Pokemon franchise as a whole. So much so that I even have it tattooed on my arm. This is actually a Mega Rayquaza, a shiny Mega Rayquaza tattoo. And yeah, I really do think this is one of the coolest Pokemon you can get. The fact that it is a 100% IV and it's a shiny, that's cool in and of itself. But this was actually my very first Shundo. I got it from a Suicune raid day where I traded with one of my raid mates and it ended up being a Shundo. It was definitely one of the coolest experiences of my life, and yeah, for that reason, this is probably the coolest Pokemon in my collection. Now, I also want to talk about this one right here. This is actually just a typical Raikou, but it is of course a 100% IV. The reason why I wanted to highlight this specific Pokemon, because if you look at the date when it was caught, September 3rd, 2017. Why is that significant? Well, this was actually the Pokemon that I caught on my wedding day. Yeah, the day of my wedding, I was very nervous about getting married. Of course, there's a lot of nerves that happens on your big day. So I went out and did a couple of raids in the morning before the wedding festivities took place. And one of the raids that I did gave me a 100% IV legendary. It was actually one of the first 100% IV legendaries that I ever got, so this has a lot of significance. May not necessarily be as cool as other Pokemon, but considering that it has a lot of emotional, sentimental value, that's the reason why I consider it one of the coolest Pokemon in my collection. Next up, let's talk about this Pokemon right here. This is my Shundo Necrozma. And right now it is in the Dawnwings form, but of course, actually not Dawnwings. This is the Duskmane form. And the reason why I have it in Duskmane is because between the two, I feel like it's the cooler looking shiny. Yeah, it's a Shundo. And if you look at when I caught it last year, July 14th, 2024. Yep, this is a Go Fest Shundo. I got it from a raid, and because of that, I personally think it's one of the coolest Pokemon in my collection. And on top of that, it also has the cool background, the special background. You can see it right here with the Earth Ultra wormhole. That makes it even more special in my opinion. Alright, so these are some of the Shundos and Hundos and high IV Pokemon in my collection that I consider the coolest. Next, let's go over some of the Pokemon that I think are just incredibly rare. Actually, yeah, if you want to just look through my collection, these are all Shundos and high IV shinies. I obtained most of them through lucky trades, like this one. Some of them I got just through sheer luck, like this one I got from Pokemon Go Fest, I think in 2020. And then there's some that I just got from 100% IV callouts during community days. Yeah, there's just a lot of really cool high IV shinies and Shundos in my collection. But let's talk about this one right here. So this is actually a 100% IV Zacian, which I recently got from Pokemon Go Fest in Jersey City. And it's definitely one of the most powerful Pokemon that I have. It's definitely really cool. I'm one of the first players in the world to get myself a 100% IV Zacian that's crowned. And I think because of that, it's one of the coolest Pokemon in my collection. And yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of really cool Pokemon. I feel like over the years I've been incredibly lucky when it comes to IVs and shinies and Shundos, but I think it's not enough. I don't think IVs necessarily indicate just how great a collection can be. Let's talk about some of the rare shinies that I have. Where are you? Here we go. This is a Pikachu with the, I forget what hat that is, but this is actually incredibly rare. This is one of those Pokemon they do not bring back. It's a shiny Pikachu with the specific hat. I forgot what it's actually called, but IVs are not that great. Maybe one day I'm going to use a bottle cap on this one just because of how rare it is. I would love to get this as a Shundo. It's definitely a really cool Pokemon. I think this is one of those Pokemon that typically a lot of players will say is just incredibly rare. Another one is this one right here. This is from, I think, the World Championships a couple years ago. These are just some, like, I feel like shiny Pikachus with hats, those are always going to be some of the rarest Pokemon in your collection, just because they do not often come back. Some of them are just completely retired. You just will never see them back in the game ever again. Like, we've seen this one quite often. This is the Red Hat Pikachu, I believe. Obviously, that one does come back quite often, but some of these, like this one, and then as well as this one, I don't think we're ever going to see them again. So getting a shiny of those, yeah, that's definitely going to be a highlight of your collection. If you have any of those, then definitely show them off. They're going to be some of the best Pokemon you're going to have because of the simple fact that they're incredibly rare. But overall, yeah, I will say that these shiny Pikachus are some of the rarest in my collection. They're definitely some of the coolest as well. Now, this one may not necessarily be one of the coolest, but in my opinion, it is actually quite rare, just simply for the fact that it is a regional Pokemon available in one of the most isolated places in the world, and it's something that we have not seen as part of a Go Fest or a Go Tour or anything like that. It is going to be Comfey. This is one of those Pokemon that I don't think a lot of players have, mainly because it's only available in Hawaii, and not everyone in the world has ever been to Hawaii. But I was able to go to Hawaii and pick up this Pokemon. Actually, last year I went to Hawaii for a wedding, and I was able to pick up at least one Comfey. And yeah, this is definitely a super rare Pokemon, and it's one of the coolest in my collection, but of course, eventually we're going to see this Pokemon as one of the special hatches or catches from a Go Tour event or a Go Fest event. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it already has been part of a Go Fest, I do not recall it ever being, but yeah, in my opinion, this is one of the coolest Pokemon in my collection simply for the fact that it is the rarest regional right now. Some people will argue it is Sigilyph, some people will argue it is Relicanth, but we've seen those Pokemon as part of Go Tours and Go Fests, and because of that, a lot of players do have those Pokemon in their collection, but when it comes to Comfey, currently right now, I think this is one of the rarest Pokemon you can get. So yeah, overall, I will say that I've collected a lot of really cool Pokemon over the years, and there are certainly a lot of Pokemon that I still want. And yeah, hopefully with the introduction of bottle caps, we will start to see a lot more Pokemon that maybe they'll emphasize more on rarity as opposed to player power. I think that's something that Niantic and Scopely should definitely explore. Maybe have more exclusives like regionals. I don't know. I know players are going to be very much against that, but after the introduction of bottle caps, we're going to lose an aspect of Pokemon Go where people are going to essentially have something that a lot of other players are going to have. Let's say like 100% IV legendaries. Up until the introduction of bottle caps, 100% IV legendaries were considered incredibly rare, and having them was definitely a way you could brag with your friends. But With the introduction of bottle caps, more players are going to have them. More players are going to have Shundos. So I think because of that, Niantic and Scopely need to think outside of the box and come up with different ways to create cool catches, something that players can brag about. But that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, a lot of players are going to disagree with me, but who knows, maybe we'll start seeing some really cool additions to Pokemon Go that are definitely going to produce bragging rights. I really do predict that this is something that they are definitely thinking about. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below, and also talk about some of the coolest Pokemon that are in your collections. What are some of the Pokemon that you always brag about? What are some of the Pokemon that you really want? Definitely talk about it in the comment section down below, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Content Solo channel, the best way you can do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. If you become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. That means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, I highly encourage you to do so by following me on social media. My handle is at Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And also, I opened up an Etsy store. So if you want some really cool merch for K-pop and other different things, make sure you go and check that out. I'm going to be adding a lot of different products over time, so definitely go and see if there's something you want to get. There's definitely a lot of really cool gift ideas if you have a family or friend that loves K-pop. So yeah, definitely go and check that out. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.